Welcome to the Blueprints to Buildings podcast. I'm your host, Glen Palmer, and on this show, we interview the movers and shakers in the world of property development and real estate. So, before we dive in, just a quick word. This show is brought to you by a new visual technology that's quietly making waves in the property industry. Developers are using it to cutting edge design costs and accelerate off plan sales in a way that almost sounds good to be true. If you're curious, message me directly at Glen Palmer Secure or check out the show notes below. So today on Blueprints to Buildings, I'm joined by Jeff Drews. He's a seasoned BIM innovator from the US, co-founder and president of BIMTM, a guy who's built high-performing BIM teams across architecture, engineering, and subcontracting, and someone with a real reputation for turning chaos into clarity. Jeff, welcome to the show, my good man. Thanks for joining me, and shall we crack on?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
So, one of the questions that I ask everybody on this podcast is if travel became a reality and you had a chance to go back in time to when you first started your career, what advice would the person that you are now give to your younger self?
That's an interesting question. I don't know that I would give myself any advice different than what I experienced because I feel like every little experience I had along the way kind of molded me into the person that I am today. So I things were difficult coming up in the industry when I was, and I think part of struggling through all of that helped me to really be the seasoned BIM professional that I am now. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't things weren't handed to me on a silver platter. If there was one piece of advice, I would say just communication is more important than the software. So keep that in mind and be open to hearing others' perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, I would tell myself a hell of a lot of things, but one of the main things would be communication. Listen to people, understand where they're coming from, and their side of things. So, Jeff, you built your BIM departments from scratch, pretty much, and rescued a few chaotic ones too. So, what is the biggest broken piece that you see in BIM coordination today, and how does BIM actually fix that for your clients in the real world?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is most people don't understand that we're trying to develop a repeatable process here. So they just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and don't necessarily have a well-defined process. But as soon as you start defining that process and everybody knows their roles and everybody knows expectations, um, you can start using a different part of your brain to really focus on how we solve the construction problems that we have in place rather than like, well, what template should I be using or what should the drawings look like?
Mm,
Um, it really pushes things forward when everyone has a standard operating procedure to follow.
yeah, nice one. So from your vantage point then, electrical MEP subcontracting, pretty much all of it. Where do you
Mhm.
think BIM is genuinely heading in the next 5 to 10 years? Is it going to be more automation? Is there going to be more outsourcing, or is it going to be something totally unique and different?
That's a really good question. 5 to 10 years. Well, I think BIM will be significantly different with AI being involved with it, but I don't think AI is going to be taking everybody's jobs the way that some people are starting to freak out. I think it's going to make our jobs easier. We're going to
Yeah,
be able to focus more on the constructability aspect, and we might be a little bit more of a QC manager than anything, but
yeah,
um, I think that's the direction of the software side. From the build side, I think robots and augmented reality are going to be the norm on the job sites. Right now, you see it a little bit here and there, but I think as construction innovates over the next 5 years, I think you're going to see it all over job sites like it's the norm.
yeah. I mean, that's totally scary. When you're saying that's going to be the norm, that's like really science fiction coming right into reality, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
you're thinking a couple of years back, 5, 10 years back, augmented reality, visual headsets, that was thing of science fiction. Now it's fact.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think it's interesting, but it's scary at the same time. But and as you said, AI is not going to take our jobs. I think AI is just going to be an extension of us. What we are, it's just going to make us better. So
100%.
um, in the UK and Europe especially, there's a lot of BIM issues that stem from inconsistent standards across different contractors. So in the US, what's the local equivalent of that? What's the biggest regional headache that you see that slows down proper BIM VDC execution?
What's the terminology for the BIM standards that are over in Europe and the UK? It's like ISO.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can't remember what it's ISO something something. I can't remember to be honest off the top of my head, but yeah, there is a major inconsistency across all UK
Sure.
contractors.
I
So
think
I'm just wondering how it is in the US.
it's the Wild West. I mean, there's no standardization at all from job site to job site. There's no BIM standard across the US or even like within the different states or anything. It's literally up to whatever general contractor or whatever owner requirements there are. So bouncing from job to job, you're getting into a different set of standards on every single project that you're getting into.
Yeah,
And even as a BIM service provider like we are, every client that we talk to has a different set of standards that we need to adhere to. So it is quite challenging trying to keep all of that information organized, I guess.
yeah. And how do you do that? Would that be in like sort of simple spreadsheets, or is it another program that you've set up just to capture all of this different data?
Well, we are heavy Smartsheet users right now, and that's what we utilize for our project management. But we're also looking into implementing like Guardian for BIM, which has it's an add-in for Revit that allows you to kind of like set different standards, and then it gives you like visual reminders within your project. So we're always looking at new advancements and what's going to help us remember
Yeah.
as best as we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, right now it's mostly Smartsheet checklists and project managers kind of keeping the team accountable.
yeah, good. Yeah, well, as technology improves, so will this, I'm sure. So,
100%.
do you see a future where BIM coordination and high-end visualization platforms actually merge into one ecosystem, where sort of design clarity, client communication, and constructability all live in the same environment?
Hmm. Are you talking about like a metaverse type thing?
Very, very, very much so. Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. I think it could get there. Um, I'm having a hard time like wrapping my brain around how that could potentially work, but I do think 5, 10 years down the road that could be the norm. Instead of doing things in Navisworks, you might push it into like metaverse so everyone has access to it. I could see something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've sort of pushed the boundaries of what BIM can do, so if you've had pretty much a blank canvas, right? Start from the beginning. What's the one piece of tech or workflow you'd love to see in the adopted industry to make it widely available for everyone that makes it all the builds smoother from the feasibility all the way through to the handover? What would you do? How would you rewrite that?
How would I rewrite the tech? Well, in the US, Revit is the main software that we use for doing our BIM modeling. And although it's a good software, it really falls short for MEP subcontractors because they have to come up with all of their content themselves. So if they're
Hmm.
putting J boxes or panels or whatever, there's nothing out of the box that they get. Um, so I guess I'm struggling with this one a little bit too, just because there's so many aspects to this.
Yeah.
But I would say if we could get some standardized families across the industry, and if we can start standardizing on like an ACC like platform, and we don't have all these different variables where we're trying to figure it out from job to job, I think it's going to make everything that much more streamlined. The problem is I don't really love monopolies either. Um, so like trying to say that like we should all standardize on ACC really
Yeah.
isn't a good move either.
Tough,
So
a tough
I don't
question
really
to answer.
I don't really have good advice on that one.
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing with that would be is if you can just get your stakeholders involved earlier. So if you can get your guys
most
who are
definitely.
doing the install on the job site into the meetings from day one, it'll probably change the way construction's done with them.
Yeah. To be honest, I think the way would forward would be getting everybody in on the set at the same time. So getting in your architects, your quantity surveyors, your civil works engineers, all of these guys, in at the same time. Get them communicating between one another because you know how much of a pain it can be to try and get
Hmm.
the architect and then he goes away for his drawings and then he comes back and then the quantity surveyor puts his bits in and it can be a right fucking minefield to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, getting everybody into the same in on the same page, in on the same meeting at the same time, everyone singing off the same in sheet. That for me is the way forward, to be honest.
I think it's a good thought. There's a lot of complications that get in the way of that as far as like contract structure and things like that. But yeah, I do think that could be, I think that could be the way of the future.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, that's it pretty much for today's show. Really loved our conversation. Thoughts about where actually the technology is actually going. And of course, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the listeners as well. But Jeff, just before we conclude, if listeners want to get in contact with you and learn about what you offer at BIMTM, how do you say that? Is it BIMTM
Yeah,
or
BIMTM, that's correct.
that? Right.
Yeah.
So, what's the best way for your listeners to get a hold of BIMTM?
You can go to the website www.bimtm.com, or you can always find me on LinkedIn and reach out directly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. Well, before we wrap up, a quick nod to the tech backing this show. The one changing how developments are visualized and sold. I didn't name it for a reason. Message me if you want to know why. Thanks for tuning in to Blueprints of Buildings. I'm your host, Glen Palmer. I was joined by Jeff Drews, and I'll see you on the next episode.